Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Fiery Inferno. We're here, the freelancer edition. How many of y'all are freelancing right now? All right, how many are looking to get into the freelancing game? And what industries are you in?
Like WordPress or developers, web developers. Nice. Designers, maybe. Cool. All right.
Copywriters.
Yes.
Marketing. Anything like that?
Okay. Cool. Anybody else?
Yeah. Any other areas?
UX.
UX. Yeah. All right. We've got a nice mix here.
Yep.
So for Ian and I I've been freelancing for 6 years. Elancer is relatively new to the game.
Yeah, I've been only doing it about a year now. So, yeah.
And we've realized from talking to each other over the last year, we work at Coco, and so we're always complaining and commiserating and generating ideas, and that we've just discovered like there's lots of people who are freelancing and that they have similar issues.
Yeah.
So Ian and I overlap on lots of like similar problems that we have. So we thought we'd have a session where we can all kind of share, talk, discuss things we have in common and ideas for improving our processes and businesses.
Yeah. I mean, because like when it's not like you get like the book that explains to you how you should run your life, right? And that's like the problem we have is like we're constantly.
Write that book.
I know. There's a couple. Like, there are always these scammy info product kind of books, though. It's like Millionaire Freelancer. Actually, I think that is a book. I don't know things about it, but anyway, so. I don't know, it seems like how we learn about our own businesses is talking to one another. So that's really what we're trying to facilitate here.
So to that end, we're just going to brainstorm some ideas with y'all on things you want to talk about today. And then Ian and I will choose 5 that we like, and we'll go with those.
So think about like, what's, we have a couple of pet topics.
Yeah,
here,
what's one to get us started here?
Moving past hourly billing, I think is a classic.
What else do you guys have?
Oh, maintenance contracts or okay.
Maintenance contracts. Yep.
Toby, write down your guys' Twitter handle.
Oh, sure, I can do that.
What else do we have?
How to deal with hosting.
Hosting. What else?
Balance between billing versus internal product or idea product, whatever you want to.
When to leave your corporate job and go full time.
Nice.
Very good.
Yesterday.
What else?
Rate determination.
Great.
Work-life balance.
Yes.
Acquiring clients.
Yep.
Marketing yourself versus finding business.
Yep.
Especially since it looked like that plus was.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that one.
Yeah.
Tools. What was that last one?
Accountants.
Accountants. What else?
Rescue projects.
Rescue projects.
Dealing with recruiters.
Oh, that's easy.
College right there, guys. Auto-responder.
What else?
Thank you, VAs.
What's that?
Virtual assistants.
Oh, virtual assistants. Got it.
Or just maybe /outsourcing or subcontracting.
Okay.
Agency versus solo.
What was that?
Agency versus solopreneur. What do you want to call it?
Oh, agency work, yeah.
Yeah, do you scale up or do you keep it small?
All right. Anything else?
Patents.
What was that?
Filing patents.
Filing what?
Patents.
Patents. Got it.
Does anybody here have any patents?
Anything else?
If you come with an idea, you can.
I think what your personal disaster recovery plan is. So let's say you're in the hospital for.
Yes, like kind of.
Or on vacation.
Or vacation.
Yeah, that's the one that springs to my mind.
Hospital.
Vacation.
Yeah, right.
Vacation is
Disaster, yeah.
At the waterfront.
right. Totally.
Project management.
Project management. Yes. All right.
That nerdy sign is
just hurt my back.
I think this is enough. Which ones do we like, Ian?
I really want to, it's self-serving, but I think everyone, it's always something we talk about is moving past hourly billing.
Okay.
That just encompasses like other product models.
What else? Maybe we should choose 4 to start.
Okay.
So what are the other ones?
I think finding new clients
go
or
here.
leads was kind of a Wait. Okay. Yeah.
I put a star on the vacation hospital because I think
okay,
that's cool. So one more. What's the fourth one here?
Does anything jump out? Anyone? One, two.
Rates might be fun.
Oh. Rates, yeah, because everyone's always really secretive about the rates.
Yeah.
You can.
Not me though.
I don't give a damn. I'll drop mine. Yeah, I don't care.
All right. Let's start here. Moving past hourly. Has anyone done this?
I'm trying to.
What did you do to move past hourly billing, Michael?
I moved probably 10 years ago to do project work rather than hourly work, but now I'm in the process of moving back to hourly.
Why did?
Because a never-ending project. It just goes on, goes on.
Oh, you were doing flat rate projects.
Well, it was a contingency, and it started as a flat rate. They almost all migrated to contingencies. So,
What do you mean by contingency? Because
like a retainer.
Oh, a retainer. Okay.
Give me a monthly fee, and I'll
Yeah.
talk to you about what's wrong.
I'm actually entering into a retainer right now, and I mean, I put a ceiling on it. So, but it's honestly, it's my first time I've done a retainer, so I'm a little bit nervous about it.
It's easiest to do it's easiest to start out to do a not to exceed.
Yeah.
Just do a not to exceed.
That's what I have.
And let them decide how they want to chunk it.
Yeah.
Let the client decide. But they're all, my experience is that they're all the time, well, you know, I know we didn't talk about this, but can we squeeze this in? Can you do this for us?
I think, I don't agree that one is better than the other. I really think it's about finding the right one for the client. You know, I've done projects where it seemed small, like from the client's perspective, it was like, we have a shit storm, we have this huge thing, and we need your help, and oh my God, and we hourly. And I looked at it and I thought, that is gonna take me no time at all. And so I said, here's a chunk of money I want you to give me to do this. And I don't want this to go beyond this amount of time. And that worked for that project. Whereas other projects, I've had clients that I think, wow, they move so slow, but this is really gonna go on for a while. I'm gonna do the hourly thing and just make a living here.
Has anyone done weekly billing by chance?
That's what I was trying to move to. I find that a lot of them, I like trying to balance 5 or 6 projects right now on dailies. Like right now I've been booking daily. And a lot of them want more than a day, but they don't have a day's worth of work when I ask them for it. So I was trying to move to weekly to say, okay, you're gonna spend money here on this weekly bid, so get your shit together and then come at me with a week's worth of stuff and move forward with it.
Does that work? Because I'd love my clients to get their shit together before.
Well, I mean, here's the thing though, it's like if they're gonna book me weekly, they're gonna book me in a week, like, and they're gonna pay for it, so, you know, they're gonna get an invoice for that week, no matter if they have stuff or not.
I think it's interesting just because it sounds like one thing that's frustrating about hourly billing is that you could be working on 3 clients working a day and you have all those context shifts that you have to go under. So
Yeah.
ideally, right, that the weekly or daily thing would force you to nail down.
The daily's
internal time.
actually not bad right now, if I can get them to think in a day scope, because right now their scope is either debug this cron job and figure out why it's not emailing versus I want to, you know, I want to create an equity sharing crowdfunding website. You know, it's like, it's one or the other. It's never really a daily chunk of work, so I'm trying to move away.
Who would be an optimal client? I've never done daily or weekly. Who pays like that? Like who's that good? What type of client?
Startups have been paying me daily. That's where my big. I mean, they can't afford me on like a full weekly payout, but they can pay me on a day-to-day basis.
I've got agencies pay me for daily.
So just a little bit of background information on daily and weekly billing, because I've never done it. Is it you just say like, I'm gonna work 8 hours about in a day and figure
I don't
out,
even
like,
give them 8 hours.
that's my rate?
I don't give them 8 hours.
What is a
because-
day or a week? Like when I'm talking to a client, how do I even like approach the topic of, hey, I'm only gonna invoice you for like a day's work? They're gonna immediately come around and say, well, how long are you gonna work in a day? What are you gonna do?
I don't know, it's kind of one of those realistic expectations. I mean, you can. I mean, I give them a day. I give them, you know, 6.5 usually, about 6.5 hours. Then I say I'm going to be 6.5 hours. you're gonna pay me this much for the day. I mean, and they can come back at me if they want to, but I even will give them a kind of a little write-up of what I did in those 6 hours. Like, I don't break it down to the minute, but I'll just say, okay, well, I spent a couple hours here, a couple hours there, and so far they haven't really complained about it.
Do you find you end up spending about 8 hours though? Like, just I mean, 6.5 actual work. And then
No, it's
sometimes
usually,
stuff,
I mean, I don't know, right now I'm kind of in the process of being really honest with my billing, so. No!
That's a shift, that's a big shift, I can understand.
No, you know what I mean? Like,
No, I get it.
Dude, I forgot to unplug the camera.
That's cool though, I think that's,
you can reach me at jake@developstuff.com. No, but I don't know, I found that I haven't had any issues with it. You know, I don't
It can
know.
also depend on your client, right? Because if you have like a lot of really like, you know, maybe small business clients who are really cost conscious, you know, that could be a harder sell. Like, you know, it doesn't make sense if you're building a WordPress website or something for them,
That's
right?
very true. That's very true.
But you're talking about startup clients where there's an ongoing product that you're building over time. Or a really big project, right?
So,
There's a podcast by Andy Clark and Anna Devlin from England. They talk about freelancing and just the business side of it, and not about like how to code or what to do, but just the business. It's about finished business with the Z at the end. It's a podcast, Twitter account. But Andy Clark, you could find it through him. He's a pretty big name over in the UK. So
I actually approach it a little bit differently. I calculate my hourly rate and give them a block. If they want a daily rate, I'll discount my hourly rate that's out to 6 hours. But then there's a not to exceed 7 hours in the bid. And I've been doing this for so long, I don't have, with my corporate clients, I don't have to go through a head shop or a job shop. And for them, because they never pay on time, ever, they get 4 hours.
Also in the corporate world, the companies usually assume you only get 6 productive hours in a day, especially since there's so much email and prep and politics. So I think what you said, 6.5 sounds reasonable, as long as, I mean, it sounds like you're really honest with them. So if they don't like the hourly rate or the block that you're talking about, then, you know, they can go and have their internal people do it and find out that it's going to take a lot longer. So.
Well, that's, I mean, like for me, I book out 3 or 4 days for the week, and then I have a flex day plus additional time each day that I give to my lower rate clients. So, I mean, that's how it works for me right now. I don't know, but I've been trying to figure out how to move to weekly. I just don't know if any of my clients are willing to give up.
I think like the push, at least for me, like why I want to get past the hourly is because I just hate pegging my personal time. Like it's just not a very scalable proposition, right? Because you can only jack your price up so high, right? I mean, maybe you can keep going, but we can talk about rates later. But I mean, eventually you hit your personal time ceiling, right? So that's why people are talking about like other potential. Has anyone done anything like? Are we talking about product? So has anyone here done anything like maybe like creating more of like a product out of their consulting practice, like you know, or selling it as like a package in some way, or any other things to sell like traditional consulting services? Like Toby, you were experimenting with something recently, right?
Yeah, I mean, the idea, like when I think of moving past hourly, I think in terms of like taking something I built and then selling it as a product, you know. So
even though it could be still a consulting product, like
right.
You know, it's a process that you've developed. So like maybe creating a WordPress website, maybe you created a pipeline, for instance, that makes you really efficient at that. In reality, you know, you've gotten it down to maybe 2 or 3 hours. You've written a bunch of shell scripts or something to make it all magically happen. But to develop that process took a while, you know, and there's still some manual, you know, setup that's required.
So is anyone doing that, like taking something they built and selling it?
Yes.
Okay, it's totally lame, but not really cool, like building a WordPress. A lot of bloggers have like no design skills, and so they basically just want someone to create a graphic header for them for their WordPress site or blogger, and then like little social icons. So I've created about 10 different looks and feels, and then I just sell them on Etsy. And so that's kind of like how I look at it is like making money while I sleep type
Mhm.
thing.
Totally.
So I don't actually have to be billing for that. And I actually had turned pretty good on profit-wise.
Mhm.
So it's super easy to do and
Cool.
just throw up on Etsy.
Never would have thought of Etsy as a place to do that. Like,
Yeah, well, that's where a lot of bloggers.
Mhm.
Yeah, Etsy, or you know, even I'll just use my own blog to showcase them.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Cool.
Etsy and Facebook.
You just saturated your own market.
Cool.
I have a unique design. I'm not really worried about
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of opportunities like that. We just need to look for them. You know, like anytime you're repeating a process, maybe you could monetize it in some way and save yourself some time. Nick, did you?
Well, I've got 2 plugins in the hopper, both of which clients paid me to write, and which I asked them if I could release it, and they said yes.
Nice.
And so someone paid me to write a plugin, and then it's not as easy as, oh, I'm just going to put it out in the wild, because you have the bespoke plugin I wrote for them is not one I can sell. But I put some outward grease into it. The one I'm selling at 120 bucks a pop, and I don't even have a website up yet. People are emailing me saying, can I buy your plugin?
Awesome.
And then the other one, I need to hear back from Pippin, but once it integrates with his core plugin, that one could do really well.
I've totally started doing, like, I've started looking for opportunities where it's like, maybe I'll knock down the rate if I can keep the IP for the thing I develop.
Yeah, the one plugin I did
You
have
did that?
off.
Yep, that's really smart, I think.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of, like, if you just kind of look for those opportunities, you'd be surprised how often they
Did you
come
have to do anything extra contractually? I mean, did you have somebody put special wording in, or how did that work out? 'Cause, I mean, you know what I mean, though? Like, because that introduces a special little real contingency. Right?
Yeah, you
well,
have to like clear,
I've got 2 things. In my contract, I state that I may use non-proprietary algorithms and code that I write in my own projects. In other words, if I write, a plugin for you that does a certain thing, I may take part of that out. I'm not going to do anything proprietary for you, but if it's a CRUD thing, it's like, that's not proprietary.
I do the same thing.
Like, you own that. You own the plugin I wrote for you, but you don't own the idea underneath. And then with both of these, I have emails from them saying, you have my permission to, pursue this, and I don't want any money from it. So, and the one said, put a thing in the plugin saying that I sponsored development, and I'm like, sure, I can do that.
Okay,
So,
thanks.
it's
Thanks, Nick.
like,
Yeah.
I probably need to get a more
Specifically,
formal
there's some,
contract, but.
GNU licensing things, like, if it's a WordPress plugin, it's GNU. Like, it can't.
But once you distribute it, it is, yeah. So the one that I'm distributing is GPL. The one that I developed for the client doesn't have to be GPL licensed because it's a custom bespoke development. So licensing doesn't enter there. It's owned copyright. It's copyright me owned by them, essentially.
All right. Thanks. Time's up on this topic. Let's go to rates.
So what's your rate, Toby?
I charge, well, what I tell people is
Yeah, I know, like.
I literally tell people I charge 10 bucks an hour because like I was charging 150 and like I found that it didn't get me anywhere. It didn't get me any mileage. Like so now I just tell people 10 bucks an hour. Same. It's going to be 100 hours instead of 10 hours now.
Yeah.
People don't.
It's a little arbitrary, right?
Yeah, I mean.
Either the scope goes up or that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same project.
But you can use the hourly, like, I keep upping my hourly rate because I just have more clients than I can handle, and I use it as a filter, and I still probably haven't. So I'll just say my hourly rate is 120, but it's less for like startups. I have a different startup rate because I want to work with startups, so like it's 90 for that.
I have
So,
the same thing.
yeah, because startups are cool, right? Like
Yeah.
building a sales website for some. I mean, it's all right, but yeah. So.
So what kind of work do you do?
Oh, I do a variety of things. I do some WordPress work. I do mobile app development, which 120 is actually, I think that's crazy cheap for mobile. That's like, I'm embarrassed to admit that that's how much I charge. But I'm subcontracting that out even. I have a really reasonably priced subcontractor for that work. And I do some Django, Python, web app development as well. So I do a little bit of everything. So, but
How
I
many
think
hours a week do you average generally?
billing, I should probably know that number, huh? It's just
40 roughly, or is it?
yeah, like it's so like this though is the problem. Like 0, 30. I don't think I usually go over like 20 or 30, and it depends on I have a lot of small clients. It's kind of my situation, and it actually is just changing now for me. And it's actually I'm just about to be in an awesome position where I have like 3 clients. And they're all on like retainers and stuff, and that's going to be amazing. Because I basically billed like 5 hours in January, because I was just chasing clients the whole month, because I thought my pipeline was going to be full in January. Maybe you've heard this story. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to go on vacation. My pipeline's full. January is going to be awesome. And I came back and 2 projects got canceled. So, and I was like, oh shit, I have bills to pay. So
can I do a show of hands? Who's billing more than 10 hours a week? Who's a full-time freelancer and billing? 20? 30? 20? So okay. How are you guys?
See, okay.
How are you billing? How are you billing more than? I mean, I don't know. When are you getting the business work done? You know.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're billing 30 hours a week, you're either working 60 or you're working. You know.
Hours a week.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of my stuff is bigger projects.
Yeah.
Projects, so I'm able to just work.
Right.
So you have like a project manager somewhere laying it on your desk, or?
I do a lot of subcontract agencies, so they'll just bring the work to me.
Yeah.
My projects are basically kind of the same thing, like they're larger projects, you know, so they'll span 6 months to a year typically. So I take on fewer clients.
Eric?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question though, like when you ask how many hours per week are you billing? Because I think if you take moving past hourly and the rates topics and put them together, what you talk about is like billing for the value. And you touched on it a little bit with, you know, I built a product and I learned how to do something, so now I'm going to charge a little bit more than the actual time it takes for implementation. So I think when I deliver a quote to a client, it certainly has some hourly math in there to make sure that I have the time to get the raw work done, but it has what I feel the value is for that work. And that value may not be, you know, the exact number of hours it's going to take, which allows me to be flexible if they have increased requirements or a reduced timeline or, you know, or something like that. And as long as the client feels like they're getting the service experience and the value for what's being delivered, I don't think you have to talk hourly rate. But it's a tough shift to move past, especially if you're dealing with like another contractor or another company that also bills by the hourly rate. But I think it's a conversation that's like incredibly relevant in the current like economy of moving from, you know, what's my per minute, per hour, you know, billing cycle versus what's the value, what value am I getting as the client, you know, from you, the contractor, what you're delivering.
This sounds mostly like development rates. What would be web design rates?
I think 50 an hour for like a decent HTML, CSS. I mean,
When you get into responsive,
I charge the same. I don't do much rate.
I do client stuff.
Yeah.
well, what I'm saying is, if
You mean for a subcontractor? Or?
yeah, I would pay a sub 50
Oh,
an
a
hour.
sub?
For, you know, yeah.
Maybe.
It really depends on your
Yeah.
talent level, and
Yeah.
you know, there are designers that are charging hundreds of dollars an hour because the client believes they're getting that value out of them, and there are designers that charge $25 an hour because they don't know they should be charging more. Or because they're fresh out of school and they really don't have, you know, if you've got a decade of web design experience, there's incredible value there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We subcontract all our front-end development work out, and we pay $150 an hour.
Yeah.
I would suggest that on the recruiter side of things, you all are billing not as much as you should. I'm used to not. And Ian and I have had a couple conversations about my stuff in my world. I suffered from the Minnesota passive aggressive, Minnesota nice, can't promote myself, right? Like I don't have a good grasp on that. And my clients have been telling me that I haven't been billing enough, or I'm not charging them enough. So I mean, I would really sit down and think about it. If you haven't increased your rates in the last year, certainly not in the last 2, you're probably really undercutting yourself. And I don't want you to go from like 90 to 150, right? But you know, a good mobile developer in town right now is getting put out at 150 an hour, if not more.
I also think that, in general, my experience in over 6 years has been that people aren't shopping around. They're saying, do you do web? Great, you're hired. What's your hourly rate? You know?
They like you. It's like they're not buying your rate. And I think
It is the person.
they're buying you. Like they like you.
Or they are
That's why
shopping around,
fight
walk
so.
away and find somebody who's not.
Right.
Yeah. You're never going to win on price. That's the thing.
It's not about the number that you say at all. It has nothing to do with the number that you say. It has to do with you believe in the number that you're saying and the value you're providing. If you're saying, I mean, if I'm sitting here saying, you guys come talk to me for $180 an hour and I'll teach you how to do this. Who needs me? I mean, right? So if you're saying, like, I am worth $120. I'm fucking amazing. Like, if you want this, hello, like, that's where it is. So if you're in that, you know, if you're jumping on this board, like, I gotta increase my rates, practice in the mirror, call your mom, tell her you're worth $150 an hour, call your sister, call everybody.
And if
say,
you
hey.
get told no the first 3 times, go for 4 and 5 too. I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, I'm seeing people charge extraordinary rates, and so if I'm hearing something like 120, I'm going, that's close, but I might be saying to you too that you might be 20 or 30 bucks under what you could be
How
doing
long are
too.
these engagements you're talking about? Are these 6 month, year-long contracts at 120 an hour, $40 a week, or are these 2 weeks?
Here's the thing that I would suggest, I don't want to do this forward, but with the economy having gone the way it's gone now, where we're immediately going better, but for you all, you're busy, right? Rates are all over the board. So, you're like just a magnet for them. It's that I think a lot of folks in town, you don't know what to charge, and most folks don't know what to say yes to.
Yeah. But how long are these jobs?
But I mean, I'm seeing mobile developers who are billing themselves at $150 an hour for 3 weeks, and some who are doing it for 9 months. There is some pushback now, of course, by folks that are saying, well, I don't want to charge it, I don't want to have you bill me $150 an hour for 9 months. Can you knock it down to 110 or 120? And of course, most folks are saying yes, because if I don't have to market myself for the next 9 months, bless you. You know.
When you're talking a little bit more, I think about a model where you're putting out proposals pretty quickly, I've found actually being flexible on my rate is usually actually less successful from a like I'm happy, client's happy perspective than talking about the scale of the project. Because usually the client still wants a quality of work that's consistent with, you know, the rate that I charge. And instead, it's much more productive for me, like just long-term happiness and our business working relationship is better if I just say, you know, like let's talk about like where we can make, you know, if this is your budget, I'm willing to work within your budget, but I want to like talk about like what's feasible within that budget, rather than like let's nickel and dime it, you know, try to nickel and dime about rate.
What I like about that approach, I know, we'll move. I just want to button it up. One last thing I like about that approach is that you're focused on the business and you're empathizing with them. You're like, what's your budget? I want to work with you. I want to make this work for you, and I want to understand your business needs, kind of thing, like the context of your business. So I think that's what's really smart about that approach. You stop being a salesman and start being a partner. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, thank you. Let's go to finding business.
Yep. So I guess like this applies to small projects and large projects. Like, how are you all finding gigs? Anyone want to? Word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yep.
I run a small successful design shop in Philadelphia from here because I've had like 4 clients just word of mouth in Philly.
Neat.
I've never met any of them.
Cool.
They pay.
Speak at user group meetings. I've got clients from talking at user group meetings. I got a client at MinneBar because I was on Twitter and I replied to her.
Yeah.
And she's still a client. We're doing more development, and she sent more clients my way. So part of it is just get out there in your community and stop being a wallflower.
Interestingly enough, my biggest return so far has been the silly profile site About Me. I don't know if everybody's used that, like About.me. It's just some stupid like single page profile site that started up a long time ago, got by AOL.
Yeah. Wait, but are you using like how are people finding you?
I swear to God, I've gotten almost all my referrals like from there.
Are startups searching it or something?
Yeah, I think it's a startup friendly website.
Yeah,
it was a kind of a hit site with startups. People can filter by the tags, so you can tag yourself with like cute, you know, tags, and then you can put your city, and people are searching city and tag, and they land. It shows you like who's relevant in that city for that tag, and that's where I get. I mean, it's no effort, zero effort, and people are emailing me from there.
A similar thing. I just hired a designer for a project as a subcontractor off of Dribble. That's like DRIBBLE, which is like kind of like maybe Twitter for designers or something like that. It's like a community where designers post really small graphics of what they're working on. And the cool thing about that space, the reason I went there is because I know sort of A-list designers hang out there, and people who like go to, you know, a list apart conferences or something are likely to be on Dribble. So I knew I'd get quality there. So if you're a designer, I would definitely.
I've had several inquiries there.
Co-working?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Co-working.
Yeah, right.
The co-working spaces.
most of us, a lot of us
That's
are
all
familiar with
game.
Cocoa, which is where the three of us have, Toby, some of the others, but all the work I have right now is rooted in Cocoa. And one of the advantages there, if you just go to Cocoa and sit in the back, some of you know what I mean, and code all day, you're not going to find any business. But if you mingle, I go to Cocoa to be social and talk to people, and people learn to trust you. Someone was mentioning about clients trusting you, and you said, you know, selling or being a partner with a client. People get to know you, they chat with you, and they trust that you will do well by them. And so I hire people at Cocoa. My subcontractors are Cocoa. Toby and I have done a number of projects. We work out of Cocoa together.
I'm bringing you a gig. I just left you. Just yesterday, I was like, oh, I don't have bandwidth to take this on. I'll give Toby it. So.
I think it's huge, like what Peter's saying, like if you just sit there, because people then in the house go, well, I know he's going to be here every day at least. Like, even if he sucks, I can go and harass him, you know. Like,
you gotta sit in a social.
Oh, it's a co-working place in the Grain Exchange. There's two actually, but we mostly hang out at the more social one.
So COCOMSP.com.
Yep, CocoMSP.com.
There are other co-working spaces, we should say, too.
Yeah.
There are other co-working spaces in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, there's a Troll and
Cocoa branded.
yeah, we're just total Cocoa bigots.
Cloud has one.
Yeah.
One in Anoka and Excelsior. Anoka,
There's some maker spaces down downtown too.
Yeah. If Google.
That's just like word of mouth, sort of like amped up. I feel. Yeah. In a way.
It's actually a really good thing if your business is small enough that it focuses on one particular slice of the market, and you have somebody else in your industry that focuses on a different slice of the market. You actually, I find a lot of the time I'm like, you're not really appropriate for me as a client, but I know a guy, and that's really good because often you can kind of feed each other projects.
Something I've started doing too along those lines is I've built a commission structure that is a perpetual commission, and so the idea, you just give me a lead and I'll pay it out if I get it,
So where are my commissions? You have a time.
How about finding work as a sub? So you guys got extra work. I have a full-time job, but I'm looking for some stuff to do to get into it. How would you find work as a sub?
Oh, I missed the front part of that question. You're just asking how do you when you have.
He has a full-time job.
Oh, sorry, I'm saying I'd want to be a sub, for somebody.
Yeah.
How do you guys find subs? How do you start getting into that?
Personal network for me. I mean, I didn't have any good designers in my network. Well, whoa. I know some good designers, but they were busy. Let's put it that way. But this is not take.
Well, Eric back there starting a business right now that is going to address that need, hopefully. So, because right now it's how do you, and how do I as somebody who owns a company and has my ass on the line, how do I trust you? Is I've never met you, So that's why I think personal network's big, is because we have to trust what we're handing off.
No friends who are try to get in with people who are either have agencies or little consultancies themselves and ask for work. That's what I did for a while to Moonlight. Was, I know somebody over at Space 150 or something like that. And hey, do you have a few hours you can shove my way?
Also, just telling people, when someone says, "What do?" you say, "I'm looking for 5 hours of work," and
That's how I've got most of my stuff already. Is just by saying, develop apps or whatever.
On that too. How do you, as developers, we obviously probably dabble in a lot of things, right? I mean, you could go out there and say, I do data warehousing, iOS development, responsive design, Android development, blah, 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 blah. Is it better to maybe focus when you're, because I'm in a similar case, full-time job, maybe focus on one thing and go after that versus kind of saying,
I think it's much better. That's how I started. I was the first guy in town saying I did WordPress, and I just know that people remember that more. When I'm looking for an Android guy, even though I know Ian can probably do it, I don't think about him, because he never tells me he does it,
Question sort of related to that. It seems like a lot of people in here are in the developer chunk of the process. When you are subcontracting or when you take on a contract or a project to do some work, what are the parts of it that you feel like you wish there was more of? Do you feel like you don't feel confident in your copywriting or in your design or in your UX or something like that? what is it that you are always wishing you had?
Eric.
Yeah, quality assurance.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good testers.
Yeah, like if there is a place to go where there is
Yes.
people are available to subcontract.
Just got yelled at yesterday for that.
Hand over my cross-browser, testing, it'd be epic.
There's a team in town that does that. I'm trying to think of what their name is.
I need to start a forum with comments like that, and then someone will spam you with a bunch of names.
Yeah.
You said design.
Design, yeah. Just comfortable enough to make it look okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think there's a team called SWAT that was doing like subcontract QA testing. SWAT, I think.
If anybody wants to get into that, you can use Selenium IDE from Firefox to do the base browser testing, and then it's really easy to learn. So
Could you say that louder?
Selenium IDE for Firefox is a plugin.
I thought is there going to be a session on Selenium, or I thought remote use?
No, there's like a Travis CI one. Is there a Selenium one?
Right now.
CI is different.
Oh, right now.
Yeah, it's right now.
All right, well, a minute.
Just a note on the finding business
Mhm.
topic. A really, like if you're really in the dark trying to start somewhere, asking for help is such a basic concept that's totally real. Like go places and ask for help. Like really be honest with what you're doing and what you're up to, and just genuinely the word that comes to mind is just get vulnerable and just say, look, it could be anything. Like you could be going to a cooking class, right? And you're like learning how to cook, and everybody introduces themselves, and you're like, my name is so and so, and I haven't had a client for like 6 weeks, and this sucks. I want work. I'm an awesome developer, but I don't have any work. And you'll be amazed at what comes out of cooking classes, library stuff, sitting at the grocery store, just ask.
This is the part again where we have to stop being passive aggressive about. I mean, look, put yourself out there. Make sure that your profiles online actually say like, here's who I am, this is what I do, like the about me thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also talking about your LinkedIn profiles, but if you're a designer and your own webpage sucks, right? Because there's it's the whole cobbler shoe kid thing, right? Your own site sucks because you're mentioning everybody else's. But if you're getting referred to a friend of a friend of a friend, that person really doesn't know you that well. If they go to your stuff, it sucks. Or they can't find you, or your profile blows, right?
Yep.
I mean, think about how you're marketing yourself when you do get that third-degree referral coming down the road. But if you're not saying on your LinkedIn profile, by the way, I'm available for work in 2 weeks to do some fill in the blank, or you're not doing on Twitter, you're not doing on Facebook with your friends, like, I mean, I know it's hard to do that, but if you're in business for yourself, you have to do this.
You gotta promote yourself.
Yeah. And you have a full-time job. There's Monday night co-working at Cocoa, Minneapolis, and there's beer and chat every month.
I think it's Monday. Yeah.
So if you want to meet other people, but you can't get down there during the week, you can do Monday night co-working or the beer and chat, which
Can you
is
say that just a little bit louder?
Okay, Cocoa, Minneapolis has Monday night co-working now till
8, I think.
8?
Something. Yeah.
And then once a month they have beer and chat, which is for all the new members, but anybody can go. It's free beer, and you get to meet all the new Cocoa people and all the other Cocoa people. And you can walk around saying, hi, I'm looking to subcontract.
Yeah.
And you will find people looking to
I would talk to
subcontract.
someone who said that. I'd be like, I'd get their information and keep it for a rainy day.
And you have to be a
nothing else.
member.
Sure.
It's $50 a month to do 1 day a week, but I guarantee you will earn that back in a heartbeat.
Yeah, is that just Minneapolis or St. Paul as well?
I think just Minneapolis is doing it Monday night.
St. Paul has their own deal, their own days of beer and everything.
Go to the website.
Drugs.
All right, time's up.
We have time for one more.
No, we're actually at time right now. Yeah.
We're done.
Yep, time's up.
Yep.
Hey, can I say one thing
Yes.
real quick? This is an unconference here, right? Everybody knows that. These two guys have just done one of the best unconference sessions.
Great.
And you will see today. And